Josh Bernstein, he is an author and an opinion leader, and he has written a book, Preserving Liberty, Bold and Brave Solutions to Save America and Create Permanent Freedom. Josh, I hope you're not too late to the party. I am seriously worried about our country. Tell us about your book. How did you come to write it? And give us the 30,000-foot view, and then we'll go granular.
Okay, well, that sounds great. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me on your program. I did a little research on you, and congratulations to all the success that you've had as well. Why did I write the book? Well, because America is in danger of not becoming America much longer. We have been attacked by so many different angles, so many different people, so many different organizations, and so many different politicians and even parties for that matter. And so the book is 192 pages of nothing but solutions. That's why the title is called Preserving Liberty, Bold and Brave Solutions to Save America and Create Permanent Freedom. Here's a little bit on it right here. You can go to Amazon and you can pre-order the book on Amazon, Preserving Liberty book. The main reason I wrote it is I wrote it as a textbook to try to save this country as best we can. Clearly, we have a major election coming up, one of the most consequential, if not the most consequential elections, certainly in American history, I would say at this point. We have two completely different views of how this country could go. And one is obviously President Trump and freedom and liberty and prosperity and limited government and law and order and safety and security. And the other one is, my goodness, I don't know, the Joy campaign, for instance. I don't think people understand what Kamala and what Tim Walz are all about. But just to give you an idea, they're running on a Joy campaign. If you don't know what that's about, it originated in Nazi Germany in 1933 to 1945. So apparently when the Nazis were killing gypsies and Jews and everybody else, the morale was kind of a little low, as you'd imagine. And so what did they do? They came up with something to help the soldiers get through the torment and murder and death that they were causing. And so they did the Joy campaign, where they did arts and crafts and they did educational things and they did sporting events and things like that. So fast forward to 2024, and you have a presidential candidate using a Nazi propaganda program to run a campaign. Now, most people don't know that, and most people don't even look at that.
I did not know that, and I actually find that utterly fascinating, because when I hear them utter the word joy, it seems so disingenuous, and it does not resonate with me. I don't think it resonates with the rest of the country, because we're dealing with massive immigration, illegal immigration. They're not undocumented, Ms. Pelosi. They are illegal immigrants flooding, invading our country. And they are committing horrendous crime. Do you know, Josh, that a police officer is shot in this country every day? Over 360 in the last year. And inflation has been rampant. Thanks to the Federal Reserve, it's been tamed. Ms. Harris maintains that it's Bidenomics, but that's another lie. The Bidenomics created the inflation with $7 trillion of irrational, crazy government spending that has put our economy in a tailspin. Only because of the Federal Reserve and interest rates have we tamed it to 3%, a little under 3%. But what is the consequence of that? Rising unemployment, 4.3%. That affects about 2 million people, as I said earlier. Anyway, I interrupted you, but this notion of joy,
you're fine.
There's nothing to be joyful about.
No, there's absolutely nothing to be joyful about. Another thing that people need to know is, a lot of people talk about the word salad that she likes to say, where she says unburdened by what has been and all that. And they think it's just a silly thing that she's saying. But it actually originates in Chinese Marxism as well as Karl Marx. And what it means in Chinese, it means the four olds. Get rid of your old customs, your old traditions, your old values, and your old policies. So you can look it up. It means the four olds. So what she's basically saying is ignore the freedoms that you used to have and join us in the joys of communism. See, these are the things that people just don't understand and don't know. And so what my book aims to do is from a standpoint of teaching. So I go through the different problems that we have in this country. And instead of just complaining about them, I actually offer real sound solutions. I'll give you an example. Chapter 3, Balancing the Electorate. There's 3,142 counties in the United States of America, or county equivalents. And do you know that 50% of the entire population lives in only 144 of those counties? So how can we sit here with a straight face and say that we are a representative government of, for, and by the people if 95% of those people have virtually no say in who their elected officials are? Why? Well, very simple. Because the big blue cities and the urban epicenters in each state is where the population is heavier. And so it drowns out the rest of the states. So if you look at a state like, for instance, Illinois is a bright red state. If you remove Crook County from that equation, it drowns out the rest of the state. If you look at Colorado is a bright red state if you remove Denver. So a lot of these states have the same exact issue and the same problem. Now, the left wants to get rid of and abolish the Electoral College. Of course, I don't want to do that, because if you did that, what would happen? Well, they would just run up the coast, right? New York, LA, population centers, Republicans never win another election. So what I want is 50 Nebraskas or 50 Maines. And what I mean by that is, instead of a winner-takes-all electoral process, let's do it by county, and let's disperse that power structure from the big blue cities and epicenters back to its rightful owners, which is we the people. And so I have a formula that I've come up with between metropolitan cities, which are 50,000 population or higher, micropolitan cities, which is 10,000 to 49,999, and I have sparsely populated, which is 1 person to 9,999. Why not give some of those people in those less populated areas an actual real vote on who represents them? And so I break down in the book, I break down a structure on how you would be able to do that. It's not very complicated, but if it was ever implemented, then we would actually be able to disperse the power structure from the big epicenters and give it back to the rightful owners, we the people, flyover country, the left likes to laugh at, whatever you want to call us. And then we would actually have much more of a representative republic. Because right now, 95%, if you live in one of those 2,998 counties, your vote doesn't count. So that's just one of the things that I talk about.
And those 122 or 144 counties that you're talking about lean very left, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, Fulton County.
Out of the top 25, 17 of them are blue counties. That's correct.
Yeah. And so that does skew it. And in Georgia, we used to have this notion or this mechanism called the county unit system. And rather than popular vote, it was each county got a vote. And so it did balance the urban areas from the less populated rural areas, so that the will of the majority could not be dictated by a relatively small but powerful group. So that's a very good notion that you've got. I like that. How do we get that across the goal line? It sounds politically pretty difficult to achieve.
Well, it would obviously, depend obviously on the government structure and things like that. But a lot of my solutions are based on, bypassing difficult legislatures or difficult governors that would veto such legislation, and go straight to the voters themselves through ballot initiatives. You can get a ballot initiative to change your state, and put that on the ballot and get it in front of the people and let the people decide rather than the politicians. So that's a lot of what I talk about in the book. Another thing we've got to do is we've got to get rid of this sandbagging. I remember the runoff with Raphael Warnock, let's stick with Georgia here, and Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker was absolutely destroying him in every single county. He was up by 10, 12 points all night long. So I called my buddy, Garland Favorito from Voter GA, and I said, Garland, what's happening here? I'm noticing Fulton County's not reporting yet. And he goes, yeah, you're right. They're sandbagging. So what did they do? They waited for all the red counties to report. And then when they saw that they all reported, they knew exactly how many votes they needed. And then, of course, they reported and they said, well, look, it was just a real close race. But in the end, Warnock won. Give me a break. He did not win that race. And not just him. There are so many members of Congress and senators right now, sitting members of Congress, that are illegitimate, that have not won the races due to voter fraud and other means. So
how did we get here, Josh? And
how did
where,
we get here?
How did we get here? And where is it coming from? I mean, as I listen to you talking about Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, he was going to China when it wasn't cool to go to China. The answer is in preserving liberty. We'll find the answer there. I got it.